Before we dive into this week's episode of the Ohio Dirt Track Podcast, we wanted to mention that Jacob and I recorded this episode on Tuesday early, and not long after we ended the recording, there was an unfortunate incident with Chris Madden, resulted in an injury that has put him out of the upcoming Dirt Million this weekend. So we want to extend our best wishes and a speedy recovery to Chris. We hope that everything works out well and he'll be able to get back in the race car soon. He is included in the picks that we make for the Dirt Million, so we wanted to make sure that we mention that and send our thoughts to Chris, his family, and the team. Having said that, let's get to it. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Ohio Dirt Track Podcast. My name is Clint.
And I'm Jacob.
And we are excited to be back here with you this week. We've been talking late models for the last 3 or 4 weeks, and this week we're going to talk sprint cars. But we do want to remind you that this will be released on Thursday as you're listening. Friday, Saturday, the Dirt Million will still be going on at Mansfield Motor Speedway, and also Attica Raceway Park will be having their Points Championship Series this week. Jacob, you got out and went to some races last weekend. What did you see at Attica last Friday?
All right, so Attica was a pretty good race come feature time. We had a late red flag, about 6 laps to go, I think, and Buddy Kofoid had just taken the lead and was looking to get that first Attica win finally, but Chris Andrews got a great restart and ended up taking the lead from Buddy and went on to lead those last 5 laps and pick up his second win of the year at Attica and extend his points lead a little bit over DJ Foose. DJ finished second, so he didn't gain too many points, but it'll all be very important come this upcoming Friday when it's double points for the Points Championship night. And then Saturday night, I went to a new track. I followed the All-Stars to the Plymouth Speedway in north central Indiana. It was a terribly boring drive there. It was, get on 30, drive 3 hours, get off of 30, drive 2 minutes, and you're at the track. But other than that, Plymouth was a really, really cool track. It reminded me of like a Wayne's Field, but with fly-in-the-land banking. So it was a little smaller, but it had some nice banking. The track was great all night long. It had 3 grooves of racing, and it was the Aaron Reisel show, which really wasn't a surprise. He led all 30 laps and just dominated. He ran everywhere. I think Brock Deerfoss was second, and Greg Wilson came in third. He had a really good run.
Good to see Greg Wilson up there in the top 3. So boring drive there, but good racing out in Indiana?
Right. I'm not complaining.
Good deal. An update on our guest from last week, Chris Madden. If you are following in the late models, in the topless weekend out in Batesville, he was a winner on Thursday night. Bloomquist was a winner on Friday night. Madden was second on Friday night, I believe. And then on Saturday night, Madden wins again. So he is continuing to roll as they head over to the Dirt Million this coming weekend, and that's going to be an interesting storyline to see what happens, see how much money he can win in 4.5, 5 weeks. It's been a crazy roll.
Seems like he isn't going to lose a race.
I'm not sure. Scott, his boss man, beat him on Friday night, and then they were back and forth over the 100 laps on Saturday night. And he ended up in first, and Bloomquist ended up in third in that event. That was a fun event to watch. Other events in Ohio over this past weekend at Wayne County Speedway, Doug Drown is a winner again in the Super Stocks. And the 410 Sprints on Saturday night at Wayne County, Brock Martin is your winner. So, really quick before we move on into the interview, I want to mention that this week we are once again back at St. Pete District Studio in downtown Mansfield, great partner of ours. If you've been listening over the last 7, 8, 9 weeks, you've noticed how drastically, how much better our sound is, and we can thank Robin here at St. Pete District Studios for that. This recording studio is a very easy place to work. If you are looking to record rock and roll, you record anything you need to do. If you're a vocalist, jazz artist, or you need commercial recordings, I'll tell you what, if you are interested in recording a commercial for your business and you work with Robin, you reach out to Robin at robinrecorder@gmail.com and work with them to create your jingle or your radio recording. You'll have something that you can use on the radio. You can use it on the internet. And if you do it here with St. Pete District Studios, we will use your ad here for 4 weeks or equivalent of 1 month here on the Ohio Dirt Track Podcast, no charge. So reach out to robinrecorder@gmail.com. Get a jingle, get a commercial created for yourself, and we'll get you here on the Ohio Dirt Track Podcast with no additional charge. All right. So now that we've done that, Jacob, you had a chance to talk to Cale Conley this week. How was that interview?
Oh, it was a really good interview. We probably have a solid 25, 30 minutes of just good storytelling, and Cale has been super nice to us, and I've gotten to talk to him quite a few times at Attica and Fremont and wherever. He's raced quite a bit of different cars and has a whole bunch of different experiences. So it was nice being able to learn a lot more about Cale Conley.
Awesome. And with that, we will jump right into the interview. Here is Jacob's conversation with Cale Conley.
Today, folks, on the Ohio Dirt Track Podcast, we have Cale Conley on the phone. Unfortunately, Clint couldn't be with us. It's kind of hard to get in 3 or 4 schedules to mesh. So you got Jacob today. It kind of makes up for me not being on the phone last week with Chris Madden. But so, Cale, how are you today?
I'm good, man. Appreciate you having me on, and look forward to chatting with you for a little bit.
Hey, we definitely appreciate having you on the phone. So, Cale, how has your season gone this year?
Well, it's definitely had its ups and downs. The ups always are fun. We've had some fast race cars, and we've had some unlucky nights. But that's just how racing is, and we like it so much that we push through the bad, and we make the few good nights that we have well worth the wait, and well worth the pushing through all the bad nights. So we've got a couple wins, looking to get a couple more. The car's plenty fast enough. Just need the stars to align right, and need the guy that puts the helmet on to do his job every lap of the race. So, but it's been fun. We started out the season in a number 7K Dave Jessup Racing car, and that team shut down midway through the season, and we were fortunate enough to be able to pick up some of the parts and pieces and keep racing after a few weeks off of putting a team kind of quickly back together under our family-owned team. So I'm back in the number 3C car, which is what I raced when I drove my family car back in 2009 and 10. So it's kind of nice to be racing with that number again, and just nice to be back on the track still. So definitely the season's had its ups and downs. Didn't know that we would be without a ride there early part of the season, but it's worked out for the best, because we've learned a lot. I've learned a lot, and it's made our success that much sweeter when it does happen.
You mentioned the Jessup team shutting down, and then you jumped into your family 3C, and that was probably the first time in quite a while that car has been out. And that car came back for the Sprint Car World Championship, right?
That's correct. Yeah, that was my first weekend back. Took a few weeks off there. We were running with the All-Stars full time, and when the 7K car ended, there was just no way to really keep going with the All-Stars. With what had happened, we missed too many weekends, and we weren't prepared, and we didn't even know that was going to happen. So it's not like we could be prepared to keep going with the All-Stars. So since then, we've kind of just hit and missed whatever races we wanted to, and we've ran a lot of local in Ohio and kind of stuck around home. We went out to Knoxville, but it's been kind of nice. I do miss chasing the points and chasing the series, but at the same time, I enjoy being home late Saturday night and having Sunday, because a lot of times when you're running with the All-Stars, you're so far away from home that you don't really get home until Monday anyways.
Right. So, and then the 3C was pretty fast, almost right out of the gate. You mentioned that you have a couple wins, but how did that all come about, and is it just the people around you that helps make that car so fast?
Well, it's kind of a interesting layout of how things were rolling. Even at the end of the 7K Dave Jessup days, we had Brian Kimenoff, kind of as like an at-track part-time crew chief. We worked out with his schedule and my schedule, and we had picked X amount of races to work together with. It wasn't every single weekend, but when our schedules aligned, he was coming to help us out. And when the 7K car shut down, we started up our own family team. He actually built the first Maxim 3C that we're racing, or we raced right up till Knoxville. And we kind of hit and miss some races with Brian, and we were able to get some help from a fellow named Rick Salisbury out of Maine, and he's been on a lot of good teams, and he was able to help me get through the week basically with what I've got going on during the week here in West Virginia. Help me kind of get things organized and build the cars back up and get to and from the racetrack. So it's just been me and Rick during the week, and we've had Brian at some of the weekends, and Brian's been very helpful in letting us use his house and his shop, and Kistler has been very nice in letting us use their shop and facility, and when we're in Ohio and it doesn't make sense to drive back and forth. So I feel like we've really created a lot of good friendships and had a ton of support from those guys. So it's made our lives a lot easier with the transition into having a startup team. We kind of made it easier to hit the ground running, where I didn't think it was going to be this easy, and to have speed right out of the gate. I thought we'd have to build up to that for a while, but when you're working with a guy like Brian, it really helps, and his knowledge and the experience, and same with Rick. I mean, me and him have had success even without Brian being at the track. We've been in plenty of contention to win races, and actually did win a race when it was just me and him. So very grateful to be working with both the guys, and just grateful to be able to strap in still. So it's been a trying year, but it's definitely been fun.
You mentioned that you're from West Virginia, and obviously West Virginia really isn't sprint car country. That's more late model country. So what are some of the advantages and disadvantages of being out of West Virginia?
Well, I always kind of, when I was a little kid, you dream of NASCAR, and for me, it was like NASCAR dirt late models, just being from the territory I grew up in. So I got started in sprint cars through racing quarter midgets in the Midwest, and a lot of the kids I was racing quarter midgets with went the non-wing sprint car route, and it kind of introduced us to sprint car racing just from the other kids and what they were aspiring to do. And no one really was headed to the late model route, so it was like you just kind of follow the stream, and that's how we got into sprint car racing, open wheel racing, and really never looked back since then. So, being located in West Virginia, where I live now, it's not terrible. Our drive to Attica is, 3.5 hours, and Wayne County is 2 hours. So it's, we're not terribly located. especially if we were going to Pennsylvania and New York and stuff with the All-Stars, we were actually a little bit closer than